Hello to all of you potential recruits. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Mr. Deacon, and I'm a talent scout of sorts. Don't worry about my first name. We likely won't have more than 2 or 3 conversations at a maximum, so over-familiarity does us no favors. My clients task me with acquiring talented individuals for extremely specific and high-pressure career opportunities. It is my assurance to you that should we meet to discuss an employment opportunity, you will be provided a cash offer unattainable anywhere else. Do you need medical? Not a problem. Paid time off varies by job posting, but in most instances 1 to 2 weeks a year will be considered manageable. Retirement, if of course you reach it, is unparalleled in any other public or private sector job. The contract terms are quite binding, though. You see, once you fill these positions, it is of the utmost importance that the position stays filled. Your work, dear applicant, is a matter of life and death in most instances. I've performed these talent acquisitions for the better part of the last 50 years and have found that the greatest success in filling these unique roles has been to simply tell the truth. My clients seek a desperate sort. Those down on their luck seem to be far more willing to take on this employment. It's a difficult proposition to convince a person with a comfortable lifestyle and a rainy day fund to accept these deadly jobs. In recent years, I've also discovered that occasionally the curious sort will wander into my reach to fill these positions. You may have heard tales from my talent acquisitions from time to time. A random tale pops up from time to time describing their gainful employment. Tales of beasts, tortured souls, foul imps. My father often told me as I grew up that you shouldn't believe every outlandish tale you hear. What he didn't tell me is that more of the outlandish tales you hear are true, but we simply cannot or will not accept the maddening possibilities the darker corners of our world can bring. I've gotten terribly off track. Please allow me to regain my footing here. Below, I will tell you of 2 positions available, as well as the benefits and potential risks. You clicked on this listing, so I can only assume you know what you may be getting into. Posting number 1. Evening shift. Cave watchman. Marksman. Pay. $5,000 per non-sighting week. $1,000 bonus for successful extermination. Description: if you've ever fancied the quiet and tranquil life of lakeside cabin living, then we've been searching for you. Accommodations in a rustic but well-equipped cabin in the dense woodlands of the eastern Kentucky mountains available. Your shift will begin at 5 p.m. and end at 5 a.m. from Monday to Friday. No holidays and weekends at this time. Your duties are minimal, but quite specific. At the beginning of each shift, you will be provided with 2 rifles and abundant ammunition. Please have experience with firearms and the maintenance thereof, as you will need to perform daily checks on your primary and secondary weapon each shift. You will be posted in a 50-foot-high watchtower at the intersection of 3 cave entrances. More accurately in this situation, they are cave exits. You are never to enter the caves. You will only observe the entrances for activity. If any entity, shambles as we've come to call them, exits out of these 3 caves, you are to shoot them on sight. They most often have the appearance of an emaciated and hairless bear that walks with an unsteady, shuffling gait until they feed. After a medium-sized meal, the shambler will gain greater speed and agility. Through trial and error, we were able to learn that their primary source of nutrients came from human bone marrow. This places you in particular danger if they are not eliminated quickly and at a distance. Knowing this, you will periodically receive a shipment of fresh cadavers to lure the shambler to a clearing for a clear view when eliminating them. Hired personnel will be responsible for placing cadavers in the clearing at the start of shift and removal and cold storage of any uneaten cadaver at the end of shift. It should be noted that only a shot to the head will kill the shamblers. Removal of the exterminated remains is unnecessary, as the creatures will burst into flames after elimination. Fire extinguishers are provided in the watchtower for post-termination suppression. Lastly, you should never at any time attempt to simplify your job by attempting to collapse the caves and trap the shamblers. This has been attempted twice in the past. While seemingly successful at first, the original cave returned the next day without issue, with an additional opening located beside it. The process was attempted a second time, which resulted in a third opening. This has increased the emergence of shamblers and increased the workload of shambler escape termination specialists. Their emergence in recent years has become more frequent and erratic, so remain vigilant, lest your marrow become their next meal. Posting number 2. Live in caretaker of condemned orphanage. Pay $3,000 weekly. Free room and board included. Description: New York City draws an exciting assortment of people from all around the world. It also seems to maintain a fierce grip on some of its very own deceased occupants. Trident Orphanage, near East Harlem, was the site of a devastating fire in 1937. 7 unfortunate children lost their lives in the blaze, yet their non-corporeal forms have remained. Your job as caretaker of the orphanage is to see to the needs of the children while keeping them from contacting one another. If they become aware of the fact that they are deceased, they will either attempt to possess your body and exit the orphanage, or lure nearby pedestrians into the building to do the same. Only 5 of the original 7 children still reside in the building due to the carelessness of 2 previous caretakers. The organization that maintains watch over this facility experimented with the release of 1 children via possession of a vagrant in the 1960s. While initially seeming to be a questionable but effective method of releasing these lost souls, the short-term study of the possessed vagrant proved this method to be unacceptable. As the vagrant was observed over the following 2 weeks, their body began to deteriorate rapidly in a similar fashion to advanced leprosy. Corresponding with this, both the personality of the child and possessed subject struggled for physical and mental control. After 14 days, the vagrant emerged and released the poor soul back into the world, who continually moved from host to host. This children and host were eventually quarantined in a different facility to this day, though a new host must be acquired every 14 days, as it has become impossible to confine the soul in celestial form. Escaped Subject, too, escaped in 1989 and was never tracked or recovered. As caretaker, your duties will be to engage the other 5 orphans with various activities throughout the day in their respective rooms. Games, toys, and books are provided and should be rotated out regularly so as to not become stale or disengaging. The children are under no circumstances to see one another. To date, this is the only way these children discover they are dead, is to see another child or their own appearance. Their unfortunate final form still maintains the charred flesh and bone of their living final days. Escaped Subject 1 discovered a forgotten mirror, which began their frenzy to find a new body, resulting in the vagrant possession experiment. Escaped Subject 2 was able to see another child in the hallway, which prompted the possession of the current caretaker and eventual escape. Keep the children engaged and out of eye line of one another. As a precaution, the Trident Orphanage now has no reflective surfaces in the facility, and the door remains locked from the outside should you become an unwilling vessel for one of your charges. You will be relieved for 4 weeks out of the year for a vacation, and all physical needs will be met during your stay. Note: by reading the above position notices, you have agreed to accept placement by Mr. Deacon and Associates. Those, dear applicant, are the only 2 active openings at the moment. I'm afraid that willing participants are sometimes difficult to come by, so the terms I work under have become somewhat more unscrupulous over the years. Desperation, after all, can be created. Your knowledge of my work has bound you to a contract of sorts, with 2 potential paths forward. Path 1. Accept this gainful employment from myself and my clients. You need not reply here. All you need to do is write posting number 1 or posting number 2 on a sheet of paper, place it in an envelope with a small drop of your blood on the corner, and place it in your mailbox. One of my couriers will be by this evening to check for your reply. We already know where you are, so no need to share your location. You may be chosen as our next lucky applicant. In the event of a failure in one of these postings, we may collect you in the future as a more proper replacement. Path 2. Do nothing. Ignore this. Leave no envelope. I also know where you are. The unwilling always make excellent bait for the shamblers or a pristine vessel for our unfortunate child in quarantine. Either way, dear applicant, I'll be seeing you. Some sooner than others. Update. For those familiar with my work, please allow myself to update you on a few things. My benevolent clients were overwhelmed with the amount of interest in our previous 2 postings. This is most fortuitous, as the occurrence of events and locations requiring their attention seems to be increasing at a rate at which we have not seen before. Some of our best and brightest investigators are working diligently at these new sites to prepare them for job placement. In the coming weeks and months, I may again reach out for your talents. As usual, I've gotten a bit off track. Please allow me to present you with a single tantalizing option today. There are many offers in the works currently, but this one is of particular importance to my operations as a whole. Certain agreements must be maintained, and my priority is to make safe those unaware of certain entities and threats that creep just behind the peaceful facade of this world. Posting number 3. On-call parcel delivery. Must be available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Pay $2,000 per completed delivery. Locations: various postings globally. Description: if you find yourself with abundant time on your hands and a desire to travel your local vicinity, then I believe we may have just the position for you. Havencroft and Garnett Delivery Solutions have immediate openings for detailed and discreet delivery drivers. Constant availability is required with a 2-year contracted term. Your duties as a delivery driver at Havencroft and Garnett Delivery Solutions are straightforward, but must be followed to the word. Upon receiving a call from our dispatch team, you are to report to the provided address no later than 1 hour after notification. The address will change with each new delivery, as well as the vehicle you use to make the deliveries. Once you arrive at the provided location, you will find a cargo van with an advertisement on the side of H&G Logistics. The door will be unlocked, and keys will be in the ignition. A yellow post-it note will be adhered to the radio with the delivery address. The provided address in your cargo van will be no more than 25 miles from your current destination and no less than 10 miles away. You are to use the onboard GPS in the van to travel to the provided address. Arrival is required within 1 hour upon taking possession of the cargo van. Do not make any personal stops while driving the H&G Logistics vehicle. Should you be pulled over by any law enforcement entity, there is a business card located above your head in sun visor. You are not to touch this card unless a traffic stop or roadblock occurs. The card is to be provided to the officer making the stop. It should be noted that this card is not to be returned to you and will remain in the possession of the law enforcement officer. If the officer should attempt to return the card to you, begins to show signs of neurological issues, or attempts to open your vehicle door and gain entry, you are to drive away immediately. The officer will not attempt to follow you. Understand that you are never to attempt to read this card yourself. During transit to your assigned destination, you are never to inspect the cargo in the rear of the van. Every delivery will have a steel-reinforced chest approximately the size of a refrigerator box turned on its side. While most parcels will remain silent during transit, you may expect a variety of scratching noises, smells of decay, screaming, and occasional pleading coming from the container. The voice from this container may also occasionally know your name or sound similar to a friend or a loved one. Regardless of any attempts at interaction from the context of the container, you are prohibited from examination or communication with the contents held within. Earplugs are provided in the glove box for your convenience. Upon arrival at your delivery destination, you are to pull within 20 feet of any door and honk the horn 3 times. Turn off the engine, place the keys on the dashboard, and place the sleep mask located in the console cup holder over your eyes. If you place the provided earplugs in your ears, they must be removed at this time. Within 45 seconds of honking the horn, you will hear the back doors of the van open, and the cargo will be removed. After the doors have been closed, you will hear 3 knocks on the driver's side window. Roll it down with a manual crank handle. A voice will ask you why you're here. You must repeat the following words in exactly this order. We have provided what has been agreed upon. May our gift provide your continued mercy. Do not remove your blindfold, and do not attempt to move. While you may be tempted to depart at this point, you must remain in place. You will hear the container be opened and the unmistakable sounds of a struggle. Even if the cargo has previously been quiet, it will at this time undoubtedly begin to scream. Breaking bones, wet tearing of flesh, and other telltale signs of feeding will follow if the cargo is found to be acceptable. The feeding process will last for approximately 5 minutes. At the end of this, you will hear the back doors of the cargo van open, and the container will be placed back in and the doors resecured. If you followed all of these steps correctly, you should hear 3 additional knocks on your window. At this time, you are to count aloud to 100 and take off your blindfold. Start the van, depart the location, and do not visually investigate the area as you leave. Return the van to your pickup destination and retrieve the folded handkerchief and matches located in the passenger seat. Exit the van and place the handkerchief in the gas tank opening and ignite the handkerchief with the provided matches. Move quickly out of the vicinity of the vehicle. Regardless of your distance, you are required to travel by foot back to your home. Upon arrival, you will find an envelope with payment located inside of your front door. Failure in part or whole during this process will result in near immediate death. Note: by reading the above position notice, you have agreed to accept placement by Mr. Deacon and Associates. So you have it, dear applicant. This posting is near and dear to my heart, and I have overseen this position from the beginning of my career. Your dedication to this service will continue to maintain a delicate balance kept in place since time immemorial. As to how you shall show interest, dear applicant, please do the following. Before you go to bed this evening, take a drop of blood and spread it evenly on your thumb. Press your thumb to the center of a mirror in your home and leave the bloody print there. The courier is working on more expedient avenues of travel, so this should improve the process just a touch. If the print is there in the morning, then your services will not be required. Should your print be gone, then my associates will soon be in touch. If we do not select you for this position, I ask that you do not become despondent. Rest assured I will return, with other exciting possibilities in the future. As with last time, dear applicant, I will be seeing you, some sooner than others. Thank you. Mr. R. Deacon and Associates.